Here we go. We're going to start a recipe creation in Beersmith 3, and we're going to call it Harlequin. That's an IPA using a 6-gallon system, 73%. I have 22.71 liters, which is 6 gallons. I'm going to go ahead and select New England IPA. And then we're going to add fermentables, Pilsner 2-row here. Just like the last video I did, it seemed to work pretty well. I think we're using a German Pilsner 2-rows. Okay, 8.4. Let's do some more fermentables and do the rest of the grain bill with Golden Promise. We'll do 5 3/4. Okay. We're up to 10.63, so let's add some of the flaked adjuncts. So fermentables, flaked oats, let's do 1 1/4, and let's do flaked wheat. Pound. Okay, looks like the slider's up there in the middle. Just add a little bit of acidulated malt here. According to the RO water profile, I'm going to need to add about 6 ounces. So let's just do that. Acidulated malt, 6 ounces. Yeah, we'll start there. Okay, let's add the Harlequin hops. I've already put them in there, so we're not going to have to add them in manually. That's from Charles Faram. Yes, I'm going to do a small bitter charge. Yeah, let's just go a 1/2 ounce here. 60 minute. That should lay down the canvas nicely. Okay, let's just put everything else in the Whirlpool here. So we'll just do 6 ounces here on the hot side, so 5 1/2 will go in the Whirlpool. So
purchase your track today.
62 degrees. Oh my goodness, what did I do? Oh, that's gonna change that to Whirlpool, guys. So Whirlpool for 15 minutes at 175 Fahrenheit, and that is the correct alpha acids. Okay, that's a little more reasonable there. And yeast. So this time I'm gonna use the Verdant Vermont IPA, New England IPA. There it is. I believe I entered it ahead of time, so all right, there we are. Verdant tends to ferment down pretty low. Okay, let's change the measured OG to, well, let's assume we're going to hit our numbers here, so let's just put that in there for now. Let's select the system. Let's see, it's a rim system, light body. Go to the mash, adjust for temperature. I'm going to change it to 150. We'll do a 75-minute mash, sure, why not? Okay. As far as the water profile goes, I'd start with distilled water, and then I'll put the chemistry up next.
Purchase your track today.
So yeah, we're going to be brewing that New England IPA or the hazy IPA, all using the new Harlequin hops. So I've seen a few videos from Europe. I think I'm going to be one of the first to review them here in the US. I'd probably have to reach back out to Charles Faram and see if that's true. But anyway, here we go with the Harlequin Hops New England IPA / hazy IPA, all Harlequin hops. Okay, so we're going to really showcase these hops and see how this works out. And so as per the recipe creation that you saw earlier, here it is on paper, and then the water profile. So that's based on RO water and 5.3 mash pH. Okay, we're going to use acidulated malt to get our mash in the range, and all of the brewing salts go into the mash tun. The only thing I pre-treat the water to is I pre-treat the water to a pH of 5. It's not a lot of buffering power, but I just like to have that RO water matching what the mash is set at, so there's no stripping of tannins as we go through. Don't know if it helps. Doesn't hurt, so I do it. Anyway, we'll be checking the mash pH at probably about 10 minutes into the mash and near the end, just to make sure that we're holding mash pH consistently through. Yeah, let's get this brew day started.
Manual.
Okay, I didn't show the actual measuring out of brewing salts, but this is the scale I use. Here are the brewing salts based off of this. Also, if you notice there's no sodium. I do like adding a little bit of sodium to the beer. So what I do is I just use some sea salt, about 6 grams in a 6-gallon batch, about 1 gram per gallon, but I don't put it in the mash. I don't put it in the mash, I put it in the boil, and I throw it in with, if I'm going to do Whirlpool tablets or yeast nutrient. In this case, it'll be yeast nutrient. So the salt will go in the boil towards the end. That's it. Just to give the beers a little pop. It also creates a little more softness as well. Okay, I have my timers set. Let's see, let's refresh that one. Now my timers are all set. It's a real simple, as you saw from the recipe. We have a 75-minute mash. We're only going with a 1-hour boil. I've only got like 8 pounds of Pilsner, and the other is Golden Promise, as you saw. It's not quite a 50-50 split, but I'm thinking I'm going to get most of the DMS out of there. So I'm going to take a gamble and go on a 60-minute, not a 90-minute boil. That's not a huge gamble. I want to keep the beer really, really light. Okay, light in color, and also finishing maybe a little lower, so we're going to ferment, as you saw, at 148. So, with that being said, let's mash in. With 28 liters of water for the initial infusion for this grain bill. We're shooting for 1068, I believe, if my memory serves me. Okay. Grains are in. Looks beautiful. Smells amazing. Always does, though. Okay, so my hoses are already set up. I just need to yeah, that's already done too. We're going to be underletting again. We always underlet when we can. All right, all the valves are in the right position for the Digitan. Let's make it happen. hit run, and yes, water's flowing. I primed the lines ahead of time so the measurement would be accurate. And just going to keep an eye on the scale on the inside because I'm looking for the correct amount of movement. For the last 5 brews or 6 brews that I've done with the Digiton, it's been spot on. So at some point I'm going to feel comfortable not watching it anymore, but until then, I'm going to keep checking. Actually, let me show you what the Digiton is doing. As you can see there, it says the water's flowing. You can see it counting up. I know water's flowing here because I can see an occasional bubble flop up through there. Okay, as you can see from the overhead cam where water's coming in, it says we've got about 4 liters left to go, which is looking about right. So I'm going to drop the brewing salts into that little corner you all are seeing on the other camera. Because I'm going to stir the mash and that'll pretty much mix that up pretty good. I won't forget, as I have been known to forget and go 10 minutes in and see the brewing salts sitting there and going, oh my God, I forgot the brewing salts. It's happened to me a couple of times. Hasn't really affected the brew that I can tell, but I'm sure the first part of the pH is a little off. But I haven't done that in a while. All right, looks like about 1 liter left to go. Looking pretty good up there. Yeah, that's going to be about right once I stir it. Okay, half a liter left. Where are we ending up? We're a little high on the temp. If you can hear that beeped, so I'm going to shut that off. A little high on the temp. I was shooting 148. I've overshot by quite a bit. So I'll use my metal mash paddle to drop the temperature down. It's a giant stainless steel mash paddle. And it helps bring the temp down faster. And that looks like the proper mash consistency. So it looks like my dead space is set properly now, finally. I've been tweaking it slowly over the last 6 brews, and this is the consistency of the cereal mash that I'm looking for, as you guys can see here. So I'll keep stirring this until the temp drops. It's coming down. Got a ways to go yet, but still coming. I won't start the timer until I hit my temp, and I'll start the timer on my surface. I think I overshot today because it's a lot warmer today than it was yesterday morning when I started. It's been slowly warming here, and it's been actually kind of cold here in southwest Florida for like a week. In fact, it was the the concrete in the garage was so cold that when it warmed up, the pavement started sweating. So not the pavement, I don't know why I keep saying pavement. The concrete started sweating, and everywhere in the concrete was just wet, like somebody had spilled water. It's really crazy. Looks good. I don't see any dough balls, so to speak. All right, where are we at? Oh, we're at 150. The thermometer is slow moving, so I'm going to stop right there so I don't undershoot while I'm getting my infusion water at the right temp. And the way I'm going to do that simply is just adding the rest of the water in. Normally I would do that with the expansion tank I have at the bottom, but yesterday I didn't record on my brew day, and the RO filter had a little drip, so I was like, oh, well, maybe the filter needs to be tightened a little more. So I went to reef on it, and the whole housing cracked and water was spraying everywhere. So yeah, my RO water system has officially shit the bed. So I left what I had in here from yesterday's brew day, which was about 10 gallons of RO water, and I added 8 more this morning. I'm sorry, 7 more this morning. Now I'm going to add the final 3 because I use that to drop my temperature in my HLT for recirculating immediately. Whoops. And the expansion tank holds about 3 gallons. So that's my rationale. Looks like we're at 154. And last one should get us there. 149, 148. We might undershoot a little, but I'll turn the elements on and put that at 1. And went down to 146, 145. So I'll put that 148, let it heat back up. We'll start recirculating in a minute or two. I'll start the timer, mash, boom. And we're a couple degrees high, but by the time I'm recirculating, it'll have dropped 2 degrees. I'm not concerned about that. There you go. So, bottom number is what my set point is. Top number is what it is currently. So it wouldn't be prudent to start recirculating now, because then my mash will actually drop precipitously, because everything is sitting in the lines right now, it's cooling off as we're waiting. So when I first turn it on, all that cool water goes into the mash. So the temperature does this little bobble down, maybe 2 degrees, and then it comes back up within a few minutes. And then it holds solid the whole way through. So I don't mind being a little over here, because when I first start up, it's going to drop down 2 degrees and I'll be right where I need to be. But I do need to wait until that gets to at least 148. All right, we'll come back in a few minutes. Okay, here we go with recirculating. All my valves are in the correct order. So we're going to turn it on. I hear bubbling. We're at 149. And sounds like the bubbles are out. There we go. We are recirculating. Good. All right. Recirculating it started, so I'm going to switch the HLT probe, which is measuring the HLT, and I'm going to switch it to the probe that's in line to the recirculation, and it's showing that it's coming in a little low. Although it hasn't translated up here yet, I'm still sitting at 148. Sometimes the probe just needs to warm up. So we're there. We should hold. Like I said, sometimes we see a 2 degree drop for like a minute or two, and then it pops back up. I can live with that. Otherwise, it's rock solid. Okay, just to review, I have one thing left to do. It's been about 10 minutes, 9 minutes since I mashed in and started the timer. So I need to check my pH. So let's do that next. Hour left on the mash. Okay, at this point, it's really a set it and forget it. I have an hour to do brewery things, so I'm going to do that. I'll set up my hops for the drops, and I did a lot of cleaning yesterday, but there's a lot of organizing in here still yet to do, so I'll just tinker around for the next hour. I'll see you in a bit. So here we are, we're 5.3. I don't know if you can see that angle. There, let me hold it. I don't want to tip it too far though. 5.3 in the mash. So we're good there. No further adjustments required. So I separated out the Harlequin hops, the 6 ounces for the dry hop. I'll leave that in the fridge. And then I have my 6 ounces for today. A ½ ounce of bitter charge, and then everything in the Whirlpool. So yeah, that's it's gonna be different. I've never done one hop variety in a New England IPA all the way through, but I didn't want to muddy the waters with this hop variety by adding like Citra or Mosaic and doing like a Warrior or Nugget charge, bitter charge. So yeah, this is Harlequin all the way. Harlequin hops are in the alpha acid range, pretty close to like Mosaic, in the ballpark of Mosaic. So.
Purchase your track today.
We're doing our runnings here, finally. And yeah, it's going to be a nice light color. That's New England IPA. Hopefully we get that haziness when the hops get into the mix, so to speak. Let's see how we're looking in here, and then we're going to start moving some water. I got it a little high, so I had to shut it off for a second. The flow was a little too high, so no worries. I've got a couple liters left to move over, and then that's it. It's complete to runnings, and we'll start our boil. As soon as the element is covered here, I'll actually, let me plug it in now. I'll go ahead and turn on the element so it kind of speeds us to boil. It's a 5500 watt, 220 element there, so it gets us up pretty quick. That is a nice color. Smells good too.
Purchase your track today. Oh no, it's a manual.
Okay, I forgot to let you know, we're at the boil. I was waiting for the krausen to drop, not the krausen, but the hop break to drop. When I throw the hops in, it makes it worse. So I got it to just drop down. Okay, here comes the 60-minute half-ounce addition, straight into the kettle. The rest of these are going in the Whirlpool. And that's it for today. That's it for the hops. On the hot side. Okay guys, we'll see you at the Whirlpool. So we are down to 185. So we're gonna drop in the Whirlpool Additions, which is the remaining amount. So I'll just start cutting these and dropping them in. I do 185, I'm gonna get the most amount of extraction. I'm gonna go for 15 minutes. Just because I want to get a little more extraction from these hops.
Purchase your track today.
The hops are in, as you can see above. And then here I have the magnets holding up the dry hop additions for the 6 ounces after the fact. Let's see, you can see that. They're up near the neck. Looking across, it's above the 6-gallon mark, so I should be fine. Okay, my initial impression on the Whirlpool is a little cheesy. It's just, I've smelled this from hops before, and it's not a problem because this usually gets converted into a nice citrusy feel in the fermentation. So these late kettle additions do get biotransformed somewhat, and I am using Verdant. Which is known for biotransformation. A little bit of lemon and grassy and pine. So that's what I'm getting so far on this. Yeah, maybe a bit of citrus too. So yeah, here we go. Okay, you'll have the split screen now where you'll see the, hopefully, unless it went dead, you'll see the kettle and the fermenter. One filling and one draining. All right, a fairly successful brew day. I'm a little disappointed in the gravity coming in at 1065 instead of 1069, but it is what it is. I did collect quite a bit of wort, and more importantly, I collect clean wort. There is no trub in the bottom of that fermenter. So that best simulates a professional brewery when they do the kettle knockout. There's very little trub that makes it into the fermenter. This is a completely different recipe. I've used Verted before, but on another recipe, which worked out pretty good. Doesn't like pressure too much. I do have it in the pressure fermenter, so I'll keep it under 5 psi. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Doing the glycol chill right now, getting it down to temp. I know it's not an accurate measurement there, but oh, you can't even see it now, but it was, oh yeah, it's 30, it's 32 on its way to 30. You can see it there. So it'll make its way down to pitching temps in probably about 15 minutes.
Oh no, it's a manual.
Hey everybody, it's Gary, Main Brew Guy. I made this Harlequin Hop New England IPA. You saw the video and the precursor. And so this beer came out a little more orange, but I also feel like it might already be turning a little bit. I think I may have gotten some oxygen in here. It's got a little bit of a brown hue to it, and that's unfortunate. I don't know how I would have gotten oxygen in this beer, but it doesn't give me the, let's see here, in that light. I mean, it's so hard to tell. I just feel like it might be turning a little. It's been 2 weeks in the keg. Still smells fresh. I don't get that carbon, you know, that cardboard kind of thing yet, but I have a feeling it's turning. It just feels like it's a shade darker than it was, and that's unfortunate. That's no reflection on the hops, of course, but also, yes, I'd like to thank Nick and Brandon from Exit 12 Brewing. They sent me this glass. I know it's hard to see here, but it says BrewTubers here, and on the other side, it's my logo, Tapout Brewing. They sent this to me. That's pretty cool. So anyway, Harlequin Hops. Yeah, so on the package it did not say anything about coconut, but I get coconut big time. So as you know, in part of the recipe is I only used Harlequin hops. The small bitter charge, Whirlpool, and dry hop. You know, I did that on purpose, and you normally wouldn't make a New England IPA with a single hop addition, but I wanted to see what Harlequin hops imparted throughout the brewing process. And yeah, it's coconut. I mean, there's definitely a little bit of papaya there. You know, the citrus, more of the dank, kind of piney citrus, but it's real mild. Really, what's predominant there is the coconut. So, yeah, I get this beer really finished low, and I'm not sure why it did, but this one dries out a little too much as well. So it's not certainly one of my best beers, but the hops showcase here, I think would pair nice with this to bring out this hop aroma more, would probably be to pair it with maybe Mosaic and Sabro. But all in all, a drinkable beer. My concern is I wanted to send a couple cans out to some folks overseas, including the farm that sent me these. It was Charles Farms in the UK, who sent me these hops to try out. And I want to send them a couple cans, but I suspect it may oxidize by the time it gets there. That's what I'm afraid of. And I don't want to send them oxidized beers. yeah, I would look for these hops in the future. Again, making an IPA with New England IPA with a single hop is probably not a good call, but like I said, I wanted to showcase this hop completely. And yeah, it's very nice. Kind of nice clean smell to it as well. Let's hope that doesn't oxidize more so I can send these beers out to Charles Faram and Tube Dino's. I believe he did a review of the same hop variety. I want to send him some of this, so I hope it doesn't oxidize by the time it gets to him. All right, cheers guys. Thanks Nick, thanks Brandon for the glass. It's beautiful, I appreciate it. Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad for single hop edition.
Imperial yeast was founded on the ideal that if you are going to do something, do it right. Through many years of experience in liquid yeast and craft brewing, they understand that home brewers and pros alike need access to better yeast, service, and support. Their staff has decades invested in liquid yeast and professional brewing, alongside countless afternoons and evenings spent home brewing. Imperial yeast. Pitch right.